Yo.
What up? What up?
What up, man?
Whew. Dude. Episode 70.
70, man. Whew.
We getting old.
We getting old, man. We a veteran podcast now, man. I like it. I dig it.
Yo, everybody, welcome back. Another week. Carbon Footprint Podcast. Episode 70. He is Juan and I'm Sean. And every week we get together, have a couple drinks, talk about things going on in the world, try to focus on things making an impact, whether they be good, bad, or otherwise. And we got something delicious for y'all today. What we got?
We do, man. Listen, we pull aside here. I don't know what we calling this.
Me neither.
But we taking it back to the roots here. This is a drink for all the brown folk. We got the Bacardi Superior. You know the Bacardi. Everybody has Bacardi at the house if you have to. So we did a shot of Bacardi, a shot of the Malibu, which is also brown folk approved.
Yep. The coconut rum.
The coconut rum. And then we have, we did squeezed in a lime and then pineapple juice, man. The pineapple juice in a can. It's got to be the one in the can.
The real shit.
Shake it up, the real shit, and then pour it in. Don't give me no libbies, all right? Give me the real.
I almost bought the libbies.
Did you?
I almost did. Then I was like, no, I got a good can.
We might have to do one with the libbies one just to see if it tastes the same. But the pineapple juice in the can is amazing. I don't even know which one.
Dude, and the lime. So I had this drink this weekend. And I was like, oh, man, that's really good. And then today I bought the lime, and that makes a difference. So if you guys are used to it, or you had this before, but without the lime, definitely hit it with the lime. It does make a difference.
Yeah, it gives that little tangy, tropical, just an extra little hit of it, man. I like it, man. I'm a lime fan. Anyways, I throw limes on everything.
Oh, on everything.
Yeah, it works for me.
Next time get a rosemary in there.
It's a good little chill. And we can make a bunch of them and just keep sipping. It's nice, man. It's a nice little beverage.
Absolutely. All right, man. Let me start it off with my carbon footprint of the week. Goes out to Woody Faircloth. This guy runs a nonprofit. It's called emergencyrv.org.
Okay.
And what they do is they provide RVs. So they basically hook up people that are willing to donate their RVs with folks that actually need them. And so what they've been concentrating on recently is places that have natural disasters. And most recently, we've had those big fires in California. So this gentleman lives in Denver, Colorado. He has a regular job. This is not his normal job. This is his give back to the world, if you will.
Okay.
And so he teams up with the young daughter, man, and they've given out 95 motorhomes. So it started out with he got inspired because there was a guy in California whose house got burned, but he escaped with his RV. And the guy was on the news, and he was just like, man, I'm just so grateful to have this RV. Like, I still have a home to come home to, right?
Homeless, basically.
Right, exactly. Wow. So he got the idea from that, and what he did was he did this GoFundMe. And he got enough money to get an RV. And then when he presented the RV to the person, he's like, him and his young daughter drove from Denver to California to kind of give this away to someone. It caught wind. The news got a hold of it. And they were on social media and stuff. And so they started to get donations. People wanted they thought it was an awesome cause. And folks are like, yeah, I got an old RV, man, you can have it. And so they started doing this, so sort of like getting people to donate their RVs, and he's given 95 away to people whose houses would just burn to the ground.
Wow, man, how cool is that, dude?
Yeah, dude. And so,
he said, we talk about this all the time. These little ideas,
the little things, bro,
that spark these massive ideas that change people's lives, man.
Yeah, and they still have 100 families still on a waiting list. But, the guy's getting donations. And so if anybody wants to sort of give to this organization, emergencyrv.org. The guys take donations. They take donations of obviously monetary and also if you have an RV that...
You got an old RV parked at your house?
Yeah.
Using, man?
I'm
assuming he'll take pop-ups like pool RV, like the kind that you pool, the kind that drive themselves, whatever.
I would imagine so. I don't know I'm sure the website probably outlines... what they actually take. But man, I was just like, man, here's a guy he's not making anything from this. Like, the guy actually has a day job, and this is what he does in his spare time with his daughter. And his daughter is very young. I think she's 9 years old. She loves it. And she's just like, oh man, God and Santa Claus would want us to do this. that kind of shit, man. So really cool.
That's cool, man. Yeah, it's some. You just never know, man. It always like impresses me of these little things that spark either an idea in somebody or just turn into something way bigger than anyone ever imagined, man. Like that, like that's dope, man. That's great. Shout out to him, man. Hit up his website, man. Donate.
Emergencyrv.org. Hit him up.
Man. That's dope, man. I got carbon footprint this week, man, was it's a mixture, man. I'm gonna butcher this guy's name, but it's Alex Oshmayansky. I'm gonna go Oshmayansky. OSH.
That sounds pretty good, man.
MYANSKY. Yeah, Oshmayansky. I'm like, I don't know, some kind of Russian. I'm gonna guess. I don't know.
Or Polish.
Something. Yep. Something with a lot of consonants. This guy's actually there's some vowels in there. Never mind. Anyway, so Alex Oshmayansky and Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks,
yep.
Shark Tank, Mark Cuban, super billionaire. So they're starting this company that is the aim of this company is to make it's to basically disrupt the prescription drug industry.
Ooh, I like this already.
And and the thing is that like, so Oshmayansky was driven by like I guess sort of anger. So this dude is super intelligent, bro. I'm talking like college graduate at like 16, went to like Duke Medical, has like multiple degrees. I think one from Oxford. I'm just super intelligent, educated guy. Worked in the corporate world for a long time.
Did you say he was driven by anger?
Yes. And I'm gonna get there. He dude, which is kind of interesting, man. So he was doing working with a pulmonologist at Johns Hopkins University.
Okay.
And
hold on, what does that doctor do?
Lungs.
Okay.
So they're lung specialists. So he had patients in need of a drug called bosentan. Bosentan treats pulmonary arterial hypertension. And so the need for these two patients while he was there was like urgent. Like these guys needed this pill. And a single course of the treatment can run $10,000, but neither patient could afford it. So they applied for like assistance, but while they were waiting for approval, they both died. And the drug would have just been life-saving for these guys, right? So he said that drove him to like that. He said he was angry and upset about that. He just couldn't shake it from his system. So he started drawing up this guy who was super intelligent, had already started companies. He started this business that one of them, it's funny, man, it's like ahead of its time. He invented these like door handles for hospitals and stuff that automatically dispense hand sanitizers when you open them and stuff like that. Like, so he started companies, he sold them. He's, again, super intelligent, medical degree, has a PhD and an MD. Just intelligent guy. Then he starts going down the rabbit hole of the pharmaceutical system, and he realizes that even with his intelligence, like he couldn't figure out a way to circumvent the system. Like the system is broken because so many people are incentivized and there's too many middlemen.
Right.
And so like, like to give an example, so he's like, if this company makes a drug, then they have salespeople, right, who are incentivized obviously to sell this drug, but they're selling it to the sales guy at this say dollar value. Now that guy has to sell it to this other hospital or whatever for another dollar value so that he can make money, and now the hospital has to make money or the doctor has to make money, right? So it's like there's like 3 or 4 people down the line making money. Then there's these exclusivity deals where everyone has to go get it from this person here, so then you essentially have a monopoly on the drug and you control the price, but the people are all trying to maximize their profit from it because they're getting like whether it's commission and all this stuff, and so he goes on his rabbit hole, but he's like, every time I think I have it figured out, you find out this other player that's involved, and so like there's like negotiators on behalf of the pharmaceutical companies that you have to go through. You can't go from manufacturer directly to the source. You have to use these people in between, and these people negotiate the prices, and they negotiate on part of the insurance companies. Like insurance companies then negotiate like obviously rates for cross.
Layers on layers, man.
And he's like, this shit's expensive because everybody's getting paid,
right?
And it's designed for you to fail. And so a lot of people have tried what they're trying. So they're trying to figure out a way to buy and or make generic drugs with the exact same active ingredients, and then just sell them directly to pharmacies. So they're like, nope, we're gonna go from us straight to the pharmacy, and they're gonna like dictate a price. So give it to the pharmacy at that, and then the pharmacy kind of resells. So you skip out all these middlemen,
right,
that are doing that. It says people have tried this in the past, but their pockets weren't deep enough to beat, because the pharmaceutical companies are willing to shell out a lot of dough to make you go away. What he's hoping was, so I guess he sent an email to Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban says he gets hundreds of these a day, and he ignores most of them, and this one caught his eye. And Mark Cuban's like, yeah, fuck these guys. I want in. and was intrigued, obviously, because this guy's smart. And then kind of, typical Mark Cuban fashion was like, no, you're not thinking. He goes like, not only am I interested, you're thinking too small. Like, this guy wanted to start off with like this. He's like, no, let's do like, like let's do X amount. It's like hundreds of them or whatever. Like we can do that, and we can do that within 2 years or whatever it was. And then Mark's like, I got enough money. We can throw money at this. And the cool thing is, and the reason I'm giving these guys props is that the way they're designing it, and they use this drug. I can't find the name of the drug here, but they're using they have a first one, and it's kind of like the pilot drug, and this drug is used to treat hookworm.
Okay.
And that's like a weird, I didn't realize this was even a thing, but that's something weird that a lot of people here in rural America and poor rural places get these like hookworm things. And usually the pill to treat this, you need 2 pills. So it's 2 courses, and it's almost like 100% makes it go away. Like it's the best treatment for it, but it's $225 per pill.
Like
so
$2.
$225 per pill
for the hookworm.
For the hookworm, and mind you, they're saying that people who get this, it's usually poor rural. So they named this county in Alabama that's notorious for getting a lot of cases of this, because I don't know if it's the animals or being out in the wild or whatever, right? Anyway, so they have the drug, and they're using it, and they're piloting it. And he wouldn't say how much he paid for the drug, but essentially the way they're going to run their business, the plan is they make 15% markup. So whatever the costs are, they mark it up 15% margin, and then that margin is what they sell it to for, let's say, a Walgreens. And then they're like, okay, so let's say they're like, we're going to sell them that pill for $15. Walgreens allowed it, and then go sell it for $20. So Walgreens is making a decent markup, right? Because so from $15 they're paying for it, they get to sell it for $20. So now that pill, so that's the first one they're trying. They're like, yeah, so that one we're selling it for 15. Walgreens sells it for 20. It used to be $225 for 2. So $450 for the 2 courses. Sorry, so $225 each. Now for $40, you get both pills, and you're good. Yeah, it's 10% of the cost. And they're like, we can do this at an even cheaper cost across the board for some drugs. This is just the one that they're like kind of piloting. The resistance they're running into is like these agreements, and they're going to get sued eventually because certain generic companies have agreements where they're not allowed to sell to other people, other distributors. And so they're trying to basically come out now and go like, all right, so we'll just manufacture our own. And the instances where we can't do that, we're just going to hire teams and just manufacture our own. And then their whole thing is we're going to manufacture it, and 15% across the board on everything we make. So even if the drug does end up being like $50 to go all the way through, we're just going to mark it up 15%, and then we'll sell it from there. And Mark Cuban goes, I don't want a dime from this. I just want to fuck the insurance companies, and I want to fuck pharmaceutical companies, because he goes like, everybody's worried about healthcare and all this other stuff. And he goes like, this is the part that I can contribute to. Like, I don't know about all this other stuff, but I do know that prescription drugs are an issue, and I can disrupt that. I have enough money and power to disrupt that industry, and obviously employ people and do that whole nine. So like,
and how many folks even from the United States go up to like Canada to go get their drugs?
He actually brings that up where they go to Mexico.
Yep.
And so he's like, so we can just go to Mexico and grab it. Like even in some cases, like, why not just buy from those guys? Or, things like that, where he goes like, he was meeting people who were getting like their diabetes medicine from Mexico. And they would have a family member who lived there, mail it, or they would go and smuggle it. They would have to go take a trip there. They were like, it was cheaper for them to take a trip to Mexico and buy the drugs every couple months than for them to just like get it here, because it was so astronomically expensive.
Dude, at what point is it our responsibility, just as a society, to fix this shit for humanity? Like, why? Like, it's always about the dollar, man.
It is, man.
And unfortunately, and so you said he started out with the one drug, but you said that he was pissed off about the sort of the lung drug.
Yeah, he was pissed off about that. Then he said he was pissed off about I don't know if you remember the Martin Shkreli guy, who they called him Pharma Bro, who ramped up the God, I can't think of the name of the drug. I thought it was a drug for man, I'm gonna get it wrong. It's not HIV. Anyway, there was this guy on the news a couple years ago. I think it was Martin Shkreli. He they nicknamed him a Pharma Bro. He raised the price to his drug something like 15,000% or something like overnight. Like, it was basically like the drug was like $45, and then one day he just goes, it's $750 now, $750 a pop now per pill, or something stupid like that. And his thing was like, I can get away with it. So like, and I guess the way he justified it was, well, the insurance company's going to pay it, so who cares? And if you're a person who can't afford it, like, oh yeah, you just go through this, we'll just give it to you at a discounted rate, like the $40. But if I'm billing insurance companies, then I'm just going to bill them at the $750, which I get. Like, his logic is like, well, fuck it, I'm going to go through all these channels, then I might as well raise this price, because you just basically made it that I can make an unlimited amount of money from this, because I can bill back insurance companies. But what that does is because it forces the price up for then people who are paying for insurance and then of other drugs, and because they're going to recoup that cost somehow, right? So, and then people, and it was just like this like study on greed where someone was like, yo, this guy has a monopoly on that drug. No one was allowed to make it or manufacture it, even a generic. And he was basically like, what are you going to do? Go somewhere else? Like, you need this.
He couldn't.
You're going to have to take it, and you're going to have to pay that money. And so he says like this was around that time, and then I guess seeing that firsthand at Johns Hopkins with those two people who go, had they had that drug, they would have been fine. This would have been like a routine thing, like, oh yeah, take this, and then you're good. And he's like, and watching people die because they couldn't afford it, he's like, was just something that like stuck with him. Like he's like,
I wonder from the pharmaceutical company's standpoint, because they have the resources, right? Like, how do you combat that? Do you do they just go, do they flood the market with really cheap drugs until they sort of put
you out of business?
Put you out of business, and then they go, okay, now we got it back. Do they do something else with regards to like politics, to where they make it just really difficult for you to operate?
The barrier of entry, they make it so difficult for you to operate as a drug manufacturer. They're not going to go down. Like,
no,
quietly.
They're not going to go down quietly. Exactly. I mean, like Mark Cuban said, I mean, he does have the money to kind of exist for at least quite some time.
Yeah.
But man, that'll be interesting to follow. We got to follow
that fight. Yeah, I definitely want to follow because I want to see how much he does disrupt, if he does, because Mark Cuban's got deep pockets, but you're going up against multiple multi-billion-dollar entities and people.
Yeah, bro.
So, you're going up against the Pfizers of the world. You're going up against, Johnson & Johnson and everybody else who makes any kind of... you're going up against the bigs of the bigs, and they're like... Yeah, they've all have the disposable income you have too, and they've shown in the past that they're willing to pay a lot of money to make people go away.
Yeah.
So yeah, to your point, do they just flood it and then push you out?
Yeah, because
but maybe he goes great. Now we're all in this like together, and I have enough. Like if I'm breaking even, I'm good. Like,
yeah, maybe.
Does it become like a non-profit organization to him, and he just goes, cool, if I can break even to this, cover my operating costs, that works for me. That's a win.
And Mark Cuban is one of those type of guys that he is in the public light, and he's not afraid to say what's on his mind.
Talk, yeah.
He'll say exactly what's happening.
He's not going away quietly.
Not quietly anyway.
Hell no, dude. I started thinking. We talked a little bit about this last week, where like I think I told you a story about what I paid for like these drugs on Amazon. Like allergy
I was thinking Amazon Basics when you started this shit.
Yeah, and I think, did I mention that on the podcast? I can't remember if it was off air or on air, but I basically
I'm not sure
paid,
either,
like,
but I do remember you saying.
Long story short, I guess just in case I did this before, I bought like generic Zyrtec for like, I paid $11 for 300 pills. I would normally pay 20 something, $22 for like 30 pills or something like that, right? And I'm like, damn, Amazon has the power to disrupt. Like if you can do that with over the counter shit, I guess how much longer before Amazon's involved at the pharmaceutical level, and then who has more data than Amazon to make decisions about what drugs to carry, which ones to manufacture more of, which ones are going to be profitable. Like Amazon can also even like see it coming, right? Because they're going to go, all right, who, based on your purchasing patterns, who's a couch potato? All right, you're going to have a heart attack in a few years. We see you know what I'm saying? Like who's the one ordering chips? And then let's look at their Amazon Prime hours. Or they're using Fire TV to watch Netflix. Ooh, that shit's on 7 hours a day, and they order a lot of junk food. Like, let's go throw some hypertension ads at this guy, and then you know what? Like, is anyone's ever gonna pull that off? It's so true. Dude, Amazon's gonna be the one eventually that they're gonna have so much data where they're gonna dominate healthcare.
Dude, not for nothing. So I had to buy like a black shirt, like just a regular black button down, long sleeve collar, right shirt. Went to a couple of places that they were sort of out of shirts of of what I needed. Ordered a Van Heusen shirt online. Didn't fit right, or the color wasn't the right, whatever. Bro, Amazon Basic.
Yep.
I bought and this shit, it was the right color, the right fit, and I saw the tag in the back, and this Amazon Basic.
And if it didn't fit, you send it back, and they'll send you a new one in between.
Yep.
Bro, they're gonna rule the world, bro. Just sit here and wait. Jeff, you can have it all. I think we were talking.
Take me to space,
dude. How long before you make general physicians obsolete? If you're a company like Amazon.
Well, I mean, they're kind of already not Amazon, But right, it's already a little bit happening where like doctors are seeing you virtually, right? And especially with COVID going on, there's a lot of doctors that are going like, don't come to, like, you're not vaccinated, they'll come to the office.
But then like how much longer before that turns into, oh, like, yeah, you're gonna have to go specialize in something, like you're gonna have to go be a surgeon or be a pulmonologist or whatever, because we go based on the data and your age, race, sex, blah 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 blah, where you live, you probably have X, take this. And it's just like a computer algorithm that diagnoses you based on your symptoms. Like, and you figure it's not going to be right all the time, but it's going to get damn close, dude. You're going to remove the human element of the guesses, and you're just going to pull all the data together and go, it's more than likely this. And it's going to be able to compute factors that a person just won't be able to. And you're going to have the reciprocating factor of that, of like, there's going to be something that a person can see that maybe an algorithm can't. But you figure it's gonna work 8 or 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, and then I think in those cases, the human is the secondary layer.
Correct. And then how many does that become a way to save on healthcare expense and open up the doctors to offer help for people? There's certain places in this country where you're on waiting lists forever.
Right.
So is that the answer? And I was thinking of like Amazon. I'm like, why would Amazon want anything to want to sell me allergy meds? And I'm looking at all the Amazon basic stuff, and it's flooded with like medical stuff, and I'm like, it can't just be that they want to sell generic drugs. Like, knowing Amazon, there's a long-term play here, and I go, it has to be the data. It has to be the data. Like, who's buying those allergy meds? Who's buying heart, blood pressure meds? Who's buying like this? And then they're gonna eventually find a way to tie that to your other purchasing patterns. Like, there's gonna be, it's inevitable, man. Like, mark my words, in the next decade, bro, Amazon's going to be
it's just going to get really interesting, man. Especially the way technology is going. We've even said like our kids and their generation and how they've grown up with, everything's at their fingertips, right? Like there's no waiting for anything. It's like you want something, it's at your door the next day. You want an answer. There's no going to the library looking at encyclopedias or whatever. Dude, when I was a kid, I either had to go to the library or I call somebody that had encyclopedias, yeah. And then because we didn't have one in the house because this shit was expensive.
It's expensive. You remember the door-to-door encyclopedia salesman, bro?
We're like, no, we can't afford those.
Can I just have the bees?
But our kids don't know what that's like. And hey, God bless them, right? Good for them. Technology advances, and but it's going to be really fascinating to see over the next 10, 15 years, where all this stuff goes. Earlier you mentioned Pfizer as one of the top companies. They're coming out with the COVID vaccine for, I think it's 5 to 11.
Yeah. They're trying to get.
And they're close.
They got approved, or is it close to?
I think they're close. Yeah, I don't think that they've done it yet, but it's only a matter of time.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, they're gonna run the world with. I just can't imagine a world where they don't get into that. It's too. If you think about the one of the biggest, I don't say problem, I guess, of our generation, of the world, and probably most lucrative, man, healthcare is never going away. And Amazon's in the business of evolving. You see it with them, right? Like, Sears died, and eventually Amazon will die, probably, right? But it's certainly. It keeps evolving, right? It went from the books to then where it's at now, to like home security stuff, to like they're constantly changing, to content, selling, to buying, producing its own TV shows. Like there will be another big player eventually, but they're certainly diversifying enough where they're going to make their run longer, or at least more impactful while they're here. And I just feel like this is the natural next step. Did you see the robot that they're making for your house?
Amazon?
Yeah.
No.
It's a little robot, bro. Think of like the little Echo with the screen.
Yep.
But it has wheels and shit, and it just moves around your house. And you can direct it to go to certain rooms. So like check on them if you're not home. And it'll basically like, yep, let me go here. And it'll give you like, you can see the thing on your phone. You can call it over to ask it shit and all that. And I'm like, how intrusive is this little motherfucker? And then I was like, I want it.
Let me tell you. I'm a shoot it as soon as it come into my room at like 2 a.m.
Bro, I already have myself on the waiting list for this. The Ring has the drone that it's releasing for your house.
Oh, the alarm one,
the
right?
alarm one.
Yeah.
I've been dying for that shit. Then I saw this little robot. I go, oh, he's gonna look nice with the little drone. I'm like, Amazon's gonna know everything about me, bro. They're gonna just start sending me shaving cream.
It'd be like, is it like now, they ask you. Now they're just sending it. They're like, no, we saw it ran out.
We seen your legs this morning. You must be out. And we heard you cough. They're just gonna send you Dayquil. Dude, that shit's gonna be crazy.
You have the vacuum, right? The robot vacuum.
Yeah, the I have the Roombas, the i7, i9.
That's the one that like sucks the shit out.
Yeah, empties itself
right?
out.
Empties itself out. And
you can control it with the Alexa.
But then they automatically send you stuff, right?
Yeah, they send me the bags. Shit just shows up at my house. It's dope. I didn't realize it. So not only do they send you the bags, they send you all the accessories inside that you had to replace, like brushes and all these other ancillary filters. I didn't even know I had all these other filters.
And so just based on time, I'm assuming, or
usage.
It is usage.
They know every time that it's out. So they go based on usage. Because I don't think it's sensors in it that tell it when it's full. I think they just know X amount of times out, it's going to suck up this much. And then it maps your house. So it knows exactly how much space it covered that day. So if I only send it to cover one room, I think it knows the square footage or whatever.
Yep.
And it does it. And then, dude, this shit's creepy. It's mapped my house to where I can tell it, go vacuum in front of that couch, like a specific couch. And you tell Alexa to tell it to go do it, and it fucking goes in front of that couch, dude, and vacuums it. Like, it picks up a spill for you, and then just goes back to the base and empties itself out. And then a week later, a bag shows up in the mail. This shit is crazy, bro.
Dude, that's a long time away from when humans stepped on the glacier.
Dude, yeah, man, and that's in question now, man.
Yeah, do you see that shit?
Whoo, yeah, dude. Like I guess if you guys didn't see the news this week, was that like they discovered in a lake, I guess in the bed of a lake in New Mexico.
In New Mexico, yep.
Human footprints, like mostly teenagers and children, but believed to be between 21 and 23,000 years old, which is way before. I guess the original thought was that humans were in the Americas. So let me correct that as like humans in the Americas, and that's north, south, central.
And it's like what, like a 5,000 year difference.
5,000 year difference. And there's other scientists that have had theories that they think humans were here 100,000+ years ago. They just never had the evidence. But I guess like they've had like circumstantial stuff.
Yep.
This is the first like physical evidence. It's almost irrefutable. Other than if you were questioning the aging method of what they used to age the footprints. But, so they're thinking 23,000, which, I guess what it changes is the idea that humans got here. They're thinking after the glaciers melted. But if this is correct, then they couldn't have made it because the glaciers would have been in the way. And so it changes how, I guess, the theories of how humans came to be in the Americas at that point in time, 22,000 years ago. So it's like a big deal. It doesn't get a lot of play, but it's just a big deal in the terms of the what we understand about humanity. Because obviously there's
it changes history books.
Absolutely, shit, right? Because we all came from Africa, right? Or at least originated or so we think. But then this goes, okay, well then shit, how did we get here? If it wasn't through the straight, and maybe there were people who did it that way, but it goes, well, clearly people made it here a different way, whether it was by ships or by land or however they did it, and now it puts into question what we thought, and also.
But you figure back then, like there's no ships.
No,
so we think.
So we
right?
think, right? Yeah, and that's what the thing is. And now this opens everything.
Right, and their footprints, like they're bare footprints, right? So I mean, sorry, they're like bare feet.
Yeah, they're not sneakers. Nobody's wearing J's.
And that's the thing I thought about when I saw it, and I go like, oh man, like Ice Age, people walking around in bare feet, like aren't you freezing? But I wonder if the human body was just different back then, you know what I mean? And then over time, as the Earth got warmer, then the human body evolves.
Yeah, absolutely. You figure like. We were probably built to withstand more of the elements because we didn't have the shelter we have now. And then,
right.
Like you said, the Earth was a harsher environment. So you would think if we're going to survive, we would have to be. Maybe there's layers of fat that we don't have now. And I mean, if you look at Neanderthals or they're always really burly, kind of thick.
Yep.
I mean, you don't see any bony Neanderthals in the pictures.
A little extra thick.
They're extra thick. Dude, but that when we were talking about that story, and then I saw the shit about the did you see the Bronx Zoo thing with the gorillas? You know, like speaking of ancestors. Bro, there was these gorillas in the gorilla exhibit in the Bronx Zoo. One of them grabs the gorilla, slams it down, starts giving it oral in front of the whole crowd and the kids. And there's somebody that's on video. You got to look it up.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. They're going to town, bro. Yo. And I don't know if it's a blowjob or some cunnilingus, but the one that's getting it is definitely face fucking the other one back.
Yeah.
Absolutely, bro. There's a hip thrust and everything, bro. Look up the video.
I'm afraid.
It's a Is that a work laptop?
I was really
Nah, it's on the New York Post. You good?
I was really intrigued.
Look it up.
But now I'm going like I'm not sure if I want to see it.
I'm gonna look it up for you. That shit is hilarious, dude. I'm like, and there's people like mortified and they start taking their kids away. Oh my god.
While they have their phones rolling.
Oh, so good, bro. Oh my god. Yeah, while they have their phones rolling. Here. I got it. I'm so immature, bro. Bro, it's just that shit threw it down like a savage, bro. It was so funny, man.
So was it like a male gorilla throwing down another male gorilla, or was it a female gorilla?
You can't tell, evidently.
I know, but did they say in the article?
Oh no, they didn't mention it. But you can't. And they say the reason that I guess they didn't bring it up. Oh fuck, that's a still shot.
And folks, Juan got a new phone. It's a Samsung. That shit look like a computer. It looked like a 27-inch monitor.
The Galaxy Z Fold. Shout out Samsung. This shit is lit. Oh, here we go. Here's the video. Bro, this shit is too good. Oh, man. I wonder if we're going to have to cut this out. Let me turn the volume down so that way we don't have to cut it off YouTube. Damn, 30-second long commercial. Can I hit skip? What's good? It's not going to let me skip. All right. That's going to go away, and then the video's going to start. And, bro, I'm going
to give you a play-by-play.
Oh, wait. Did we bring in the pineapple juice? No. All right.
No.
It's going to have to be all rum right now. Yo, yeah, give him play-by-play because it's too great.
All right, we got 3, 2, 1. Here it goes. Okay. Gorilla is approaching the glass. Oh, okay. No. There's two gorillas. Whoa. Okay. So
he said, whoa.
All right. So, no, bro. It is not. I thought, the way you described it, I thought it was like almost like two gorillas, almost like fighting. But it's not. It's very consensual.
No, no. They want it.
Yeah. Like the one kind of pushes the other one over gently.
Look at the hip thrust, bro.
And then
from the one laying down. it's face fucking the other one, bro.
Man, listen. Typically, don't like primates pick shit out of their hair and eat it.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe he was cleaning something down there.
Well, let me get those crabs for you. well, evidently, gorillas do oral for pleasure like humans do.
Yeah?
So, yeah. So they're like, nah, it's definitely a thing. Like, they...
Just not discreetly.
Yeah, they just that shit in front of people. But I wonder if they're, like, cognizant of what's going on, and they're telling the other one, like, yo...
Do it now.
Yeah.
They're all here.
Let's give these monkeys a show.
Hey, watch this, Bob.
Watch. But I guess
watch all the humans scatter.
I guess gorillas have little pee-pees, so you can't tell if it's a male or a female. Like you can't tell.
I was gonna say in the picture, it looks really small.
It does, but that's the problem. Is I'm like, oh, maybe it's a clitoris, but it's like, nah. I guess gorilla penises are like 1.5 inches. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm like, damn man, you got all that size and everything, and you got screwed like that, bro. Ain't that a bitch, you land manatee?
You're like, that's why they evolve into us.
Yeah.
It's evolution, bitches.
They gave them superhuman strength, and then the female got to be like, "Best shit your little ass down."
Let me get one of you scrawny humans.
I just thought of an argument. What you gonna do, Pinky Dick?
Speaking of, man, I heard on
Speaking of Pinky Dicks.
speaking of
this week be good.
This week on the Breakfast Club, they interviewed somebody. I'm gonna forget. I'm gonna get the name wrong, so I won't even say it. But it was a woman, and she mentioned the term Fingerdick.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? And then Charlamagne the guy was like, "What is that?" And she goes, "Put your finger out." And she's like, that size." And I was like, I know some motherfuckers with some big ass fingers, man.
Yeah. Yeah, what happened? You got some Shaq fingers or something like that, bro. I mean, you got some sausage phalanges. Then it don't. Yeah, that's not necessarily telling. I'm a little offended.
Hey man, I always go back to what you always say. Come get some of this mediocre dick.
Get some of this mediocre dick. I'm putting that on a t-shirt. Yo, you know who's not giving dick no more, bro? Or he will be, just not the women.
It got to my boy R. Kelly.
Yeah, bro. Nah. It's Robert, bro. Robert committed those crimes. R. Kelly's an R&B icon. Robert's a rapist. R. Kelly don't do no harm, bro. That was Robert.
So he did like sex trafficking, right?
Yeah, essentially, dude. His conviction was racketeering and sex trafficking. So that shit is like
that's like
different.
Some
mob shit, but with underage pussy. Like that's basically what he's pulling off. He's trafficking underage girls.
So he was.
I guess in a sense because he's moving them from like state to state with him. And then forcing them to do like lewd acts, and some of them recorded.
Oh, wow.
And then I guess it's the way he was intimidating some of them, or like incentivizing, if you will.
Yep.
Yeah, man, that whole shit. I was like, yo, that's fucking wild, bro. And then I'm like, yo, you still, if Bump and Grind come on, you changing the station, bro?
I'll be like, oh, that was a jam.
Nah, bro. Yeah, bro. I'm gonna be like, Robert didn't do that. I mean, like, R. Kelly didn't do that. That was Robert. Robert committed no crime.
Dude, it's just, you know,
shit, man.
We all got issues in some respect, right?
I just said underage person. There's definitely something wrong with me.
But we all got shit wrong with us, right? And it's just like when you get somebody like that clearly has a mental illness, if you will, right? But you give him power and fame and money, and the guy's able to carry out, you know, this sickness.
Yeah, and if you hear him talk, bro, he's not the smartest guy. Right, so he almost.
I don't think I've
like
ever heard an interview with R. Kelly other than maybe like a minute or two.
Oh, you don't want to? It's painful, bro.
Yeah,
he's not. I'm gonna use a Charlamagne term. He's not the highest grade of weed in the dispensary, for damn sure. Yeah, man. When you hear him talk, you almost feel bad of how stupid he sounds and how ignorant he sounds. But clearly, obviously, talented guy, charismatic guy.
Right.
And like you said, man, has this, whatever you want to call it, disease, sickness, or wants to be a predator, whatever it is. But his fame and his talent got him the access to be able to do that, and got him the resources and to pull that off. Yeah, man. I don't know.
You know what's fucked up, bro? You know, and not that long ago, you know, let's just go, I'll say 200 years ago. That shit was normal.
Yeah.
You know, dude. getting girls that are, you know, what we would deem today as underage.
I would argue not even 200 years ago, bro.
It's not 200 years, bro.
Be less than 100, man.
I'm just going, no, I don't think it's less than 100. He's talking about. Remember, we're in. So he's talking about 1920.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that we're not in like the 1900s anymore.
Yeah. So I was not go 100, but it's less than 200 years.
Yeah, you figure early 1900 and late 1800s.
Yep.
Yo, you know, I was just thinking, bro, we should have saw this coming, bro. This guy had a banger called "I Believe I Can Fly." Who wants to fly more than children? We had a whole movie. Peter Pan was fucking
Dude, you know why?
kidnapping kids based on the fact that he could fly.
You know what threw us off? It was Space Jam.
It was, bro.
So we just tied it up to Michael Jordan.
Yeah, and then really this whole time he was trying to convince kids that, like, he was trying to seduce them by telling them he could fly.
Dude, so like, what did he get sentenced to?
So that hasn't happened yet, but I think he's facing anywhere from 10 years to life. Dude, he's never getting out because I think there's so many cases, and I think this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
Like, this is just this part of it. I think there's also the actual rape charges and the underage, what's it called? But there's something with the underage sex, because some of this is just for girls who were of age. Some of it is trafficking underage girls. The racketeering charges, obviously, but then they're not stopping, dude. This is like the shit that they got him on now.
Yep.
And he still faces, I think, trial for more shit, or more shit's gonna pop up, bro, because there's been people just coming out of. There's a whole fucking documentary about R. Kelly. I think it's on Netflix or something. Or
yeah, I want to say I think like BET had one.
Yeah, one of them had the
with like the women coming forward.
Jeez, man. So you're like, this dude's never seen the light of day again, or he'll pull a Cosby. He'll be like 80 and he'll be out. Because he's in his 50s already, I think, man.
Dude, he's got to be in his 50s.
Yeah, right?
Maybe, yeah. He's definitely...
Because he's been throwing out bangers since like the
50s.
90s, early 90s. So you figure early 90s.
Yeah, dude, I'm 47. He's in his 50s.
Yeah, Bump and Grind older than I Believe I Can Fly? Yeah, right?
I mean, it's around. It's all around that time, man.
He had another one, bro.
He had a lot of them.
Yo, not for nothing, though. I'm telling you right now, bro. The Remix to Ignition comes on. We can't. We bought it, bro. That shit is lit.
No, he did, man. I mean, the guy has some good music, but hey, that's why that goes to show you, man. Like, just because they on TV, don't mean they good people.
Yo, going back to your point before, though, like where you were saying, like we're all like kind of like a little weird, right? Or we all have our like
we all got our
intricate,
shit.
Like kind of like things that make us, right? I always see these people like an R. Kelly, and it's like the shit that makes him weird. Would he be as talented without that? So it's like, is this the price you pay for being talented, like or being I guess a transcendent talent, or a savant, if you will, or like like you think of a Kanye,
yeah, or like a quote unquote genius,
right? Like you think of Kanye, he's a fucking nut, but then you go without the nut. And I forgot where I was hearing this, but they were saying that he knows he's crazy. And he's medicated. Kanye.
Okay.
And he's medicated most of the time. But when he has to be creative, he can't do it on meds, which is why he secludes himself in like Montana, because he goes, I got to get away from my family because I'm about to be off my rocker. And I don't want to say shit to them or be around them doing stupid, crazy shit.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, he's fully aware that he's not all there, but his genius relies on the crazy, right? Like the I know that's not the fucking
that's probably
the politically correct term, but
right.
I go, we've had this conversation before. It's like anybody who's ever been great at anything is a little off.
It's a little nutty.
You have to be. Any art form, dude. You think about art form, dude. Or I would argue, if you're a pro athlete and you're at the top of the top, you're narcissistic, which is a form of the fucking mental illness, right? Like. You have to be to be president of the United States. You have to be an uber narcissist. Like, there's so much shit that you have to be.
Do you think Obama was?
Absolutely, bro.
Yeah,
yeah. I think Obama will tell you he was, dude. I read his documentary. There's so much about him, and this is coming from him, right? So he wrote his own memoir, and he's in there talking about how he's presenting the idea of, say, like running to Michelle, his wife, and it's like, it's not a fucking good idea. It's like these people are sacrificing their whole life.
Right. And
he still wants
she was not against it.
She was like,
oh,
nah,
sorry.
bro.
I mean, she was against it.
Yeah, she was against it. She's like, nah, bro. Like, no. And then it was like, he would go like, well, what if this happens? And because there were long shots, she would kind of just be like, all right. And then he would like get there. Like, he would pull it off. And then she was just like, well, fuck, I kind of said that. But like, he knows. He's like very like open that like she wanted nothing to do with any of this. He didn't stop. Like, at the expense of, he was one of the, his wife, his kids, his whatever. Like, you have to be, I think, narcissistic to get there. He might be the example of maybe the least extreme of it, because his happened so quickly. Like, he shot to fame literally overnight just from that one speech at the convention. And if you've never read the memoir,
I have it at home. I have not read it.
No matter
yet.
what side of the aisle you're on, and I know people are
read.
automatically going to barf in their mouth or whatever because it's a Democrat or whatever it is, but the whole story, dude, about him and his, I forget that at the time you were like, oh shit, who's this guy? Like, that speech propelled him to this level of fame that he might be the catalyst of this era of this like celebrity president, if you will, even though he was like a lifetime politician. But he became so popular from this one speech on TV that it was literally like overnight. He became like he went from like a local guy to like, yo, you could go run for senator. And it was like, okay. And then he won.
Yep.
And in the memoir, he kind of goes through how like how it was so unlikely that he would get there in the amount of time that he got there. Like, It was just, but anyway, yeah, I think you have to be.
You know what? So like, do you call him a narcissist because he sort of went for this dream job, right? So when you go into politics, I don't want to say everybody wants to be president, but if you aspire to be at the top of your game, right, or if you aspire to be at a top level, if you have the opportunity to go that route and become the president, don't you take it? And then if you don't you regret that?
Absolutely. I also think though that like there's a side of you that's going to wrestle with, by doing this, I potentially, I don't want to say ruin, but I changed the lives, for better or worse, of people around me that I care about. And I don't care about doing that because I want this so bad. Right? Like, you think being president of the United States means your wife never goes out again on a date with her friends to go have brunch. Right? Like, it means she never
and you don't either.
Right. You don't either. But you get to reap the benefits of it, I would say. Your wife does get some, right? Like, she's probably going to have book deals and is never going to go hungry, right? Irrespective of what happens to you. But it's your dream, right? So, in a sense, like
right. So you take everybody along with you.
You take everybody along with you. So they get to reap the
sense.
rewards of it, but they also get to reap the downsides of, hey, man, you ain't seeing a movie ever again on, out with your friends. You're not going to go to brunch. You ain't going to Soul Cycle. You're not going to go take a jog.
Yeah, that's
I didn't
true,
realize this. It's illegal for presidents to drive in this country on a public road. So that's why you ever see videos of like a president driving, it's always on a private access road or it's on the grounds of the White House. They're not allowed to be on actual roads. It's actually like against the law.
Is that only during their term, or is that afterwards as well?
Forever.
Yeah.
So he can't go and drive anymore. So like, you think about that stuff and you go, yeah, it's cool, I'm making that sacrifice for me. But then part of you goes, shit, that's happening to the rest of my family. And I guess you justify it by
fuck
going,
it.
yeah, fuck y'all. I want this.
All right. He's a narcissist.
You're narcissistic, but I guess though, and a way a narcissist, and listen, I have a little narcissist in me. I think sometimes it's like the way I would justify it is you also get to reap the upsides of that. Like, you're never gonna have to work again, even if you're no longer my wife. The book that you're gonna get for not being my wife is gonna set you up for life. The book you're gonna get for being the first lady for 4 years is gonna set you up for the rest of your life, potentially generationally. Because your generations are going to be able to be like, oh, yeah, former first lady's grandchild, whatever. You're going to be able to go on, you do interviews and ask for speaking fees and whatever forever based on that one thing. Like, you don't even have to do anything for it other than sacrifice your freedom, I guess, is like how a narcissist would do it. It's like, hey, what do you have to do? You get to be at home and doing nothing now and being the most powerful, second most powerful person in the world behind the president or whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Today... I was with my son, and just speaking of just like, famous people and stuff, man. We were listening to "In the End" by Linkin Park.
Oh yeah,
and what is the lead singer's name?
Chester Bennington.
Chester Bennington. So he committed suicide several years ago, and so when I was playing this song, actually just to get my son hyped on something, it was a test he was taking. Right, he was really nervous about it, whatever. And he started asking me questions, and I pointed out, like, I'm like, see this guy right here in the video? Like, he was rich and famous and celebrity and successful and everything that we all somewhat aspired to be, and he killed himself. And it's just like, man, just going back to like, if you're not right in the head, it just doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, bro. It really doesn't. Like, and it just shows, like, you know what's funny, man? That was one of the first, I mean, I was not to say that I didn't acknowledge that depression or whatever was a mental illness, but I think that's the one that really, like, hit me, and I went, oh shit, like, because for the same reasons of everything you just named. And I remember at that time, like, they had just released an album.
Yeah.
It's kind of, the album was sort of like hey, they're back. It was so different from their usual stuff, you know, like, I actually had a lyric from their song tattooed on me from that album, like a week before he killed himself.
Oh, really?
And the lyric was and it was from the song from that album, and it just stuck with me. The lyric was like, I want to let go, but there's comfort in the panic. So I just had a tattoo that says comfort in the panic. And I couldn't help but, like, when he killed himself, I was like, holy shit, man, like, to everything you just said, like, this guy had everything, you know. And then you go, and even in the music, and I know some of the songs he didn't write, and especially on the new album, but he certainly had to approve, and it had to resonate with him, and he had to perform it. And for you to get that feeling out of something, I think when I go back now and listen to songs, I'm like, fuck, man, he was always telling you this, right? And it was like, and even him himself, his interviews, he'll be like, it doesn't make sense. I know. I don't want to be sad. I just am. Like, and I just don't, you know, and he suffered from, like, the imposter syndrome thing, and he suffered from, like, not feeling like he was good enough or worthy enough to have what he had, and just, like, and you just go, how do you make someone not think that? And if anyone had all the examples from an outward perspective, like, everyone's showing you that you deserve this, and yet there's nothing. Like, I would argue
do anything about
it. Abundance of evidence,
right?
And you can't get out of it. Like, it just, I think that's the one that, like, never left me. And I went, you know, that, and then you look at someone like a Robin Williams, and I know there was, like, there's also I guess things coming out now. They're saying that Robin Williams may have had a form of dementia that led to his suicide.
Oh, wow.
But it was no secret either that Robin Williams was also, like, a manic depressive and all this stuff. And yeah, there's, like, I forget what they call it. It's a unique form of dementia that the way it manifests itself leads to, like, suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. And so there's all this evidence coming out now. And I guess based on conversations, like, if kids has had and all that he was, like, like, undiagnosed or in the middle of getting diagnosed or something like that, and at the time of his death. But you look at someone like him who, throughout the years, man, there's so many Robin Williams interviews where he just goes, where they're like, where does the funny come from? And he's just like, I think because I'm just so sad that I want to make people around me happy. And you're just like,
that's
Robin Williams,
crazy,
dude.
man.
Yeah, it's just like,
it's nuts, man. And the reason why that came up with my son was, he was about to take an exam, and he was, like, uber stressed about it, right? And he's in 7th grade, and it's like a 7th grade, like, math test, right? And you go, like, yo, look, who cares?
You're gonna survive this, man.
Right? Yeah, it's gonna be fine. But you know, I try to let him know that, yo, like, no matter what, you're always enough. Whether you fail the test, whether you pass with flying colors, I'm like, you're still you. Like, you're always enough. And so while I want you to strive for greatness, just know that if you fail, like, you're still awesome. Like, it doesn't matter. None of that shit matters in the end. I think at the end, you want to be able to sort of lay on your deathbed and go, yo, that was a dope ride.
Yeah, dude.
You know, and I brought up to him the fact that, you know, I'm like, man, you know, your grandfather died a couple of years ago, and he did all of these things. You know, he was a war veteran, musician, business owner, you know, boss, you know, like all these things. And I go, I hope for him that, like, when he knew the end was near, that he was able to look back at his life and go, that was a dope ride, you know? And that's what I was trying to tell my son today. I'm just like, man, you're stressing out about this, and I know as your dad that this shit doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but, like, and then I brought up, and then so I was getting him hyped up with the song with the in the end, but as I'm listening to the lyrics, and then that's why I was telling him about the story about how this guy committed suicide, and I'm like, and then it hit me with, like, holy shit, man, like this In the End song was one of like the early tracks. And I go, he's already telling the story then of just like, yo, I'm doing all this shit. What is it? What the lyrics are like? I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't matter. Like none of this shit matters.
Push as far as I could go. Yeah.
Right. Like he's already telling that story, man. And I started to explain to my son, like, yo, listen, like this guy was uber successful, and that's what he did. And he tried so hard and he got so far. And I'm like, and in the end, the guy freaking killed himself.
You couldn't get away from those demons, man, or like none of this stuff mattered. I think when you're talking to your son, it's like shit isn't the end of the world. Like this stuff is, I'm having that issue now too. My daughter's a similar age to your son, and like there's things that come up now that you forget what it was like as a kid that age, and some of it you can't help but laugh, right? Because you're like, oh, kiddo. Buckle up. But then the other, you have to take a step back and go like, this is your world right now, right? Like, and I have to remind her all the time, like, there's gonna be some things that are gonna feel like it's the end, and they don't matter. Like, like you're gonna, I go, like a 35-year-old me now looks back at shit that was, maybe 12, 13-year-old me thought was like detrimental, and I'm like, I couldn't even tell you what those things are, or they're so insignificant in the grand scheme of things. It's just like, and ultimately, you said they don't even matter, because if you're not happy with you, or
that's it, bro. Right. If you're just not right up there, man, if you're just not happy with yourself, and I try to tell him, because he's one of those guys that he worries a little bit, right? Probably a little more than he should. And I'm always telling them, like, man, like, so I'm constantly telling them, like, dude, like, no matter what, you're enough. Like, remember that no matter how big your failure is or how great your success is, like, you're still you. You're still you. No matter what. And I'm like, so everything's gonna be fine. Like, try your hardest, do your best, try to reach heights. But if you fall down flat on your face, like, that's cool.
Yeah, that's fine. But like, it's funny, man. You and I have these conversations all the time. It's like, you think about the risks you don't take because you're worried about perception or your own ego. Like, you're worried about the blow you're gonna take to yourself. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. You know how we always blame this generation of the social media for living like you don't live every day, right? Everyone only shows the good stuff. Everyone only shows the vacation photos. They don't show the photos at home, carrying the 3 kids and trying to make dinner and doing this stuff, or depressed when you get out of work, whatever, right? Like, nobody shows you that part. We fake it, and then people blame social media on that. And I started thinking about, like, we've been doing that shit since the beginning of time.
Forever, bro.
Dude, think about this, man. I don't know, either your mom or your wife or you have an aunt, somebody does this. Companies coming over, and you go, clean the house. I don't want them to think that pigs live here. And you go, but pigs, this is what it is 95% of the time. Like, why are you trying to act like we're not like this? Like, you go through this whole motion of a stress to clean out your house, and it may be someone stopping by to drop something off who isn't going to go into every room in your house, and they're probably not even going to notice what's going on for the 2 seconds. And granted, some of them could be long visits, but some of them could just be a drop off, and you go, because you're worried about the perception that person's going to have of you after that visit. And maybe they catch on and maybe they don't, but I'm like, social media didn't do that. It just gave us another place where we had to upkeep this persona that we've been putting up for people. Like, I was like, nah, we've always been like this. Humans have always been like this because we worry too much about what other people think, man. Like, I don't know how you reverse that, human. I don't know if it's age or
I don't know. I think at some point you do get to a point where you sort of give less of a fuck about what other people think. But it's like, man, I think a lot of that shit is really in your head too, right? Because most people that come to your house don't give a shit. No. Like, they're not coming in, and I'll tell you this, unless they're having to, like, swing from a vine to get from one place of the house to get to the other, don't give a fuck. No one cares,
bro. And I think most people,
we got our own problems.
Dude, how refreshing would it be if you walked into someone's house, right, and you have kids, there's toys all over the floor, whatever, right? And even if they have to swing a vine to get to your bathroom, and you're just like, sorry, man, I got 3 kids, and if I clean this shit up in 5 minutes, it's gonna be like that again, and like I work and do all this shit, like, and people would be like, me too. Me too. But instead,
put it on Facebook.
Yeah, put it on Facebook. Like we try to pretend like we keep it all together. I always see people posting pictures of like them baking a cake with their kid. I'm like, nah, bro. I want the picture of the fucking yelling you had to do to, hey, come back here, stir this thing. I'm trying to get a photo. You know, like, I'm like, nah, I want that. Give me that video. Like, because I think if one person, you know, it's funny, man. I also feel like that's why this generation is, I would argue, better at us than if you think about the people who make it big on YouTube or TikTok or Vine when it was a thing. It's the authenticity. It's the people that show you, that document it all. Like, right, like a Logan and a Jake Paul, for example, like they were documenting their life before, and that's what blew them up. And it was just random stupid shit that they would do, right? But some of it was raw and it was real, and it was like, you know, they feel shit like everybody else, and they do shit and they're not perfect, and it's hilarious. Like I look at people now where they'll be like, oh yeah, these kids on social media and pretending. I'm like, nah, man, some of these kids actually have it better than we did, because we've been pretending since the beginning of time that we were people that we weren't. You know, and if anything, the accessibility now, I think one person shows like I go through this, or like we're going back to the mental health thing. Like we were talking, how common is it now for people to be like, yeah, I'm taking off because of my mental health, or I'm suffering from this and that. Yep. We would never have that conversation, 20 years ago. Certainly not our generation. Like it's just interesting, man, to see like it's like humans aren't changing per se with like social media and everything else. It's just the outlets just are different, and the visibility to it is different. And like I for whatever reason, a lot of this shit just brought me back to that this week, where I was just like, fuck, man, we've been faking everything since even before. Yep,
it happens all the time. You see, Simone Biles came out actually and said that she wished she would have stopped sooner. Remember, with the guy that got, I don't remember his name, the guy that got accused of all this shit.
Nasser, not Larry.
Whoever that, whatever that dude. I don't even want to give him press.
Yeah, fuck him. I'm gonna leak that out.
But she was saying that one of the reasons that she didn't stop was because she was like, you know what? I'm not gonna let this dude mess up what I've been working on since I was a kid. But she goes like, mentally, it took such a toll that she probably should have stopped.
Yeah, I believe that. I think you're forcing yourself to just get there.
To push it.
Yeah, I could see that, man, for sure, dude. But before we get out of here, I wanted to bring this shit up, man.
What you got?
Did you see this this funeral home ad that they did? I got to get the name of the city here. But it was, what city was it? Charlotte. So this...
North Carolina.
Bro, there was an ad on a truck that was driving by, and the truck said really big, "Don't get vaccinated," and then it was the name of the funeral home and the website.
Get the fuck out of here.
How great is that? But so I'm looking at that shit, I'm like, first of all, kudos to this funeral home, right? But if you go to the website, what it is it actually takes you to a clinic to get vaccinated, like so that you can.
So it's like the reverse psychology, right?
And then I started thinking,
that's cool, man.
Brilliant,
it's
bro.
Fucking genius,
you play
bro.
on the morbidity of something like that, of death, and you put it on a funeral, and it's like it looks like a legit funeral home thing and all that. And when you go to it, it's actually redirects you to the site of this, and I guess this marketing company, I don't know if it's the city of Charlotte that hired them. But basically, like, hey, come up with something to try to drive traffic to, and I guess the people in the ad agency were like, yo, how do we, people have been like, oh, it's important to get vaccinated. Like, how do we stand out from that? How do we play with that? And they said that they knew this was risky because people were going to be like, oh, it's a little morbid. And then they were glad that it got approved. And then they had to partner because they go, we have to make it mean something. And then what clinic would touch them? And so this clinic happened to be like, yeah, fuck it, cool. And it directed them to their site so you can book an appointment to actually get vaccinated. Bro. And it made me think, dude. And it was saying, and I forget what the percentage was of the uptick in vaccination rates, but it's worked. And it made me think about remember the drug commercials or the smoking commercials where you have the people with the hole in their fucking throat and they're like, it smells and and then you go, it fucking works, bro. When you see shit like that, right? And you start to go, wait a minute, I don't want a hole in my throat. like there's a reason they do those commercials.
Yeah,
remember that
true.
This is your brain.
This is your brain on drugs. Yep.
And I'm like, oh fuck, this is like a new iteration of that for COVID, basically. Like,
that's freaking nuts, man. And I tell you what, listen, I'm not, if you don't want to get vaccinated, like, do you, boo boo, like whatever, right? Like, I don't really care either way. But I will tell you that you know, if in case anybody thinks that shit is a conspiracy, like the deaths are real. So my father died 3 weeks ago. We still haven't had his service. I had 2 close friends of mine whose father passed recently, and they've all waited 3 to 4 weeks to have a service because the funeral homes are inundated.
Dude, and think about, drive through your local town and think about how many funeral homes you pass by on the way to work or the way to grocery store and someplace in the way. Like, it's not like there's a shortage of funeral homes.
No.
There's a lot of them. It just goes to show this the amount of deaths. And like you said, it's unprecedented. Like I forget what the number was recently, but it was like more people have already died in this than died in the entire like Afghanistan war and the entire like like a couple wars. It was like a few put together where they were like, it's a few worldwide anyway. It's a few 100,000 people worldwide, right? Are we 500,000?
I believe
we're up
so.
there, right? Like we're way up there. Like
so.
Yeah, man. Like you said, it's you do you, do whatever you can to protect yourself, but definitely do something to protect yourself. This shit is no joke.
Yeah, man. All right, bro. On that, tell them where they can find us.
On that, man. Thank you guys. If you are not following us yet, at the Carbon Footprint Podcast on IG, on Facebook, Carbon Footprint Podcast on TikTok, and the Carbon Footprint Podcast on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on there. We are dropping the whole episode on there every week as well. And you can comment on there and like and give us feedback. And I think the Gmail is carbonfootprintpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us on there too, or go through our IG page and there's a link in the bio that gives you all of our pages. So hit that up, man. Thank you guys for the support, and let us know.
Yeah, as always, thank you, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.